Good evening and welcome once more to MTV Community Forum. I'm your host Byron Campbell and of course co-host Chris Dialli. Good evening, Chris. I didn't see you last week, missing in action.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. It's a pleasure to be back here with Byron to us to haggle every now and then. And of course, duties took me away last week, Wednesday, so I'm happy to be back in studio.
Chris, welcome back, of course. Well, let's start with a positive, Chris. You know, last week we had a graduation ceremony at Her Majesty's Prison. Empower graduates, you know. This is prisoners graduated, training, CVQs in areas like building maintenance, that type of practical skills. I think it's an excellent initiative, and I want to congratulate the persons involved, the Majesty Prisons.
That is something that I always support and give a good airing on, because part of the prison sentence is reformation.
Yes.
And hopefully that teaching the guys a skill that they could use to maintain themselves when they're out of prison is an important thing. The other part to it is that, you know, employers generally, based on the skill they learn, must give them a chance as well, because some people with a criminal record, sometimes you're hesitant. But if the guys and ladies that graduate from the program are showing excellent, you know, work ethic and that sort of things, I think it's something we need to encourage. And with our prison population, the more we could do of that, the better it is for us to get them back in society and get them as functioning individuals. So kudos all around, and the prison officers and the people that have structured that program in the prison, we have to give them hats off to them, because, you know, it's a commitment for them to come and lecture. And I suppose it's not just a skill alone. They're training them in, you know, how to think about certain things, how to do conflict resolution. I suppose a number of things are there so that they could come out in society and be productive individuals.
Because part of the problem we have returning.
That's right.
You know,
revolving.
So excellent. I'm really impressed, and I want, you know, more of that should be pursued. Chris, good news again. Fish export approved to the United States. Approved. This is a good thing. Our fishermen, almost 10 weeks have been without income. So this development, which again, the ban has been removed, and now we can market our fish to the United States, is a good thing. I also hope that during this period that we were able to investigate and make contacts for other markets. So that might be an opportunity coming out from this unpleasant experience. But kudos.
Yes. I mean, we have to give the government all the kudos necessary. They did react late, but nonetheless, the reaction was received well from NOAA, and NOAA has lifted the ban, and that is a positive thing. Our fishermen can now go out and do their regular catches and sort out. It will probably take a little while to build back up, so the established fishing businesses probably will take a little while, because the fishermen now have to go back to understanding they could go out. I think that the issue here is two things. For me, the discussion about additional markets like Guyana, Trinidad, Canada, and so on must still be pursued with this, even though the U.S. have lifted the ban. So it could give the fishermen the expansive market so that they could do, because sometimes the market conditions for Guyana and so on may not be as stringent as the U.S. So we could probably sell our seconds. And I still want to ask the government to pursue the fact of doing canned tuna for those that we can't export and we can't consume in total locally. Now we should have some processing attached to one of those fishing plants or those fishing businesses, that we could can our own tuna. You know, in the revolution, we used to do salt fish. We used to do a number of things, and we have stopped that. We're still doing cornfish, but we did look at a particular species of fish that was excellent for salt and to replace the codfish that we do. So these are things I think the government needs to pursue as well, and to see how we could develop the fishing industry to add more value than just shipping out what we get.
Well, one of the other dimensions of fishing that we don't hear a lot about, Chris, is the sustainability action, meaning that our fishers have to go further out now. There's less fish in a lot of areas where there was more before. So the management of how we fish and what we fish is critical. I hope we're not doing this exercise because the United States requested. It's actually an important exercise because it dealt with sustainability and because you want it to exist in the future, not just let's fish everything now. And related to that, Chris, is the seine, the near shore fishing, the seine, the nets as we call them. The fauché, I've spoken about this before, that where the fish is pulled from. Now there's an opening there. It's too small. It doesn't allow the juveniles to escape. And a lot of beaches where seines operate, you see them spread across the sand. Nobody wants them, they're too small. So we need to go to the appropriate standard so that what we do.
Size of the fish.
Size of the fish, yeah. Yes, Chris, big news.
So before I go on, I just want to say something on the fisheries. The other thing with the fisheries is that the further out our boats have to go, we have a security threat in the region. We have to also manage what is happening there based on what the U.S. was doing in recent times. And of course, the last thing I want to say is that, with Lobster Fest in Carriacou, we need to manage all of that as well. Lobsters, sea egg. And fisheries need to get far more active in understanding what we have and how we need to do it sustainably. I know recently they had an MPA, is MPA we call it?
Yes.
For, being developed now for Woburn. And the Woburn area, and part of it is sustainability. And how we manage the Woburn MPA.
Woburn is an MPA, by the way. So, but it had to do with the improved management.
Right. The Guinea Sustainable Development Fund have now issued contracts to do the project. So let's see.
So let's see how that goes. Chris, but related to the U.S., of course, the big news coming out today is that the U.S. have now issued, there's a bond payment required for visa. If you travel into the United States, Grenada is now on this list. What it means is that if you're applying for a visa, if you want a visa to go to the United States, it will cost you will have to deposit $15,000 US, which is about 40,000 DC dollars. That is refundable once you return. But it's interesting how this came about because part of the justification, Chris, the United States claimed that they identified countries where you had large amount of persons not returning, overstaying, or that's the primary reason they gave, Chris, in the report. But I looked at the Grenada dimension, and they gave reports for 2024. And in 2024, 14,693 persons from Grenada entered the United States. Out of that, Chris, 260 did not return, or 1.77. In other words, less than 2% stayed and didn't return. So it's not a huge number. First of all, we're talking about our numbers are not significantly bigger than Trinidad or Guyana or Jamaica and some of these countries that are not on the list. So the question is, why is Grenada now included in that list? Is it something that we didn't do? Is it something that we did? Why have we been punished, Chris?
Well, I would want to say when you look at the foreign policy of the U.S. in recent times with this immigration issue, it is part of the overall immigration, because in that same report they cited security concerns of the CBI program, which I don't think is justified. And then when they spoke about who stay, as you say, less than 2%, we minute in the overall scheme compared to Jamaica, Trinidad, and Guyana.
Of course.
And they are not on the list.
No.
So the other aspect of this, the visa costs have gone up to $500 US. If you have to travel to Barbados, you have to go in person because you have to redo all the biometrics. And then when you go, you're not sure you're getting a visa. So the cost to stay overnight and airfare and so on has gone up significantly for us. And now you have this $15,000 bond. What I didn't say, and I didn't see it, and probably I need to get clarity, because if you go and you don't get a visa, do you still have to make that deposit?
I don't think so, Chris. No.
But if you go and you get it, then you must make the deposit in case you don't come back when you go.
That's correct.
So that is something that we have to, I need to get clarity on. But it doesn't make sense making a deposit and you get turned down. It would only make sense.
No. You did make what I understood from the report is that if the visa is issued to you, then the deposit must be made and is refundable once you return to your country of origin.
So, I mean, in my view, it is increased cost for us to get a visa to go to the US. We don't have visa for England and Canada. Well, we have
No.
for Canada,
No.
but not at these kind of
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah.
And I frankly think the US is weaponizing some of the things that they have that they give to countries like us, the visa issue. We're hearing talks about corresponding banking relationships. They want to look at that closer and so on. So they are using what they have and what they offer to us and weaponizing it. If we don't do it, this is the reason and the cost and so on.
But the
It's-
implications, this
Yeah.
would mean that persons who would have gone to the United States wouldn't be able to go. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I mean, when you listen to what is happening, a lot of people who have green cards are being turned down because
Yeah.
they changed the green card rule.
Yeah.
The green card rule, some people used to have green card, they live in here and they go every so often. Now, if you're land with a green card, the rule is you have to be living in the US for 3 years
Yeah.
and so on. So a lot of things are changing.
And Chris, I mean, I want to stay with the U.S. because, of course, the big issues now with the U.S. is the U.S.-Israeli war. But what's interesting, Chris, is that in this war, of course, we know what's going on. The whole Middle East is explosive. The tourism gone to naught. There's no oil moving. The price of oil has gone up. But two things I want to raise, Chris. One is that the head of counterintelligence, one guy called Joe Kent, resigned. It's important. What's important is the reason for his resignation. Because what he stated is that he alleges that the conflict was initiated due to pressure from Israel and its lobbyists in Washington, not for any other reason. So this guy, who is part of the cabinet, stepped down. And I think that's a big deal because that is very much the international, the United Nations positions also on the war that's taking place. It's an Israeli war. And the U.S. just unfortunately got drawn into it. But the point I want to make, Chris, the other point which is important, what are the implications for us? What are the implications for Grenada? What's the implications for the world? What we know is, what we saw immediately this week is we had a 9% increase in our gasoline, Chris. What are the other implications, Chris, for us?
Yeah, so I will stay on the implications for Grenada. And the immediate thing is, we spoke before, is that we'll have imported inflation coming into the country. We see it already in the gas prices. The government said on this last increase here that if the price moves to $17 more of gallon, they will seal it at $17 and use their formulas because in the new price increase, gasoline gone up, diesel gone up, LPG 100 pound have gone up. The only thing that have stayed constant is the 20 pound cylinder.
Yeah, and this is deliberate by the government.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But the wider implications is that with these price increases in petroleum, freight is going to increase because shippers are going to, a lot of shippers are not moving through the Straits of Hormuz because they're not getting insured. So they probably have to come around the Cape. So it's going to be more expensive for us in terms of burning a bunker sea fuel to get goods to us. So there may be shortages of goods based on the time and what is happening. So suppliers and businesses in Grenada have to plan even more rigorous logistically to get goods here on time. Our food prices, instantly, whether the food prices are zero rated in VAT or price controlled, the basic food items will still increase because if the base price of rice increases, because of freight increases, government has nothing to, they can't do nothing to reduce that. So even though some people have, why they don't zero rate more items in VAT and so on, that would not help, especially on basic food items. It probably will help in other little areas, but government hands are tied in that respect. So the government will definitely have a challenge when these costs start coming to us. We thought we might have had a little time before they reach, but based on what's going on with war, and the longer, as we have said, Byron, the longer the war goes on, is the worse the prices are going to escalate, particularly in transport and other things. You might hear the busmen clamoring just now.
But related to that, Chris, we have not heard any communication from the government, from the authorities, on the preparation. What should a country like us do? This is real. This is happening in real time. This is happening now. It's business as usual. I don't think they see any implications for us.
I heard a release come out on the news, which I think Minister Ander was in his constituency, and he was asking the people in the constituencies to go back and start planting some stuff. I mean, basic vegetables for yourself. Of course, I could augment your food bill. Okay, we ain't planting rice. But bread price may go up because of
But
the
it's not
price
like
of
a
wheat.
program or some
Right.
strategy.
But
You
they,
know,
they
this
don't
is-
have control over wheat price.
Yeah.
And if wheat price go up, Caribbean Agro is going to levy an increase.
Absolutely.
You know, so bread prices may be expected. So we as a people,
Yeah.
as I said in a program prior, that we as a people need to start looking at ourselves and our spend.
Yeah.
If we used to come downtown 3-4 times with a vehicle, you might have to do it twice. If you had to, you know, look at your needs in terms of what you buy home, you may have to cut. If the guys used to go and drink 3-4 times in the shop for the money, you may have to cut that down to 1 or 2, and then concentrate on the necessities for your children and your family.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, expenditure and entertainment. And that will mean the economy as a whole may see a little dip in terms of our GDP because the spending is not there. So government have a lot to consider. I don't envy them. I don't envy Minister Cornwall
Yeah.
and what is they're considering and how they're going to do it. But gas price goes up for
Because I
fishermen
just
as
want
well.
to see more communication, more dialogue with the people. You know, I think they will strengthen our resolve to what are the solutions, what more we should do. I'm not getting that. I just want to call it communication. I just think there
because
should be
you
more
know,
of this.
somebody was telling me, what we doing, grow more pigs and more fowl, but the point is the feed.
Yeah.
It's all petroleum
It's
based
all
as well.
petroleum based as well.
Yeah, so-
Chris, election watch. The movement has its Congress this weekend, and it's expected that they would put out their slate of candidates, at least so say the political leader. We know the NNP already has its full slate. The NDC has most of its candidates in place. But related to that, Chris, the government is pushing forward with the Polaris project. There is, in fact, I think, a town
This
hall
evening.
meeting
This-
tonight,
this-
this
yeah,
evening,
yeah.
and a launch is planned for the
Groundbreaking.
groundbreaking. But it's still getting a lot of pushback from the community, other sectors in the community. I thought everybody, the question for you, Chris, is everybody on board with this project? Is this project seen as the solution to our medical issues, health issues?
I don't think so. And I understand what the government is doing, trying to do a major transformation in the health sector.
Yeah.
And that is laudable. But somebody reminded me the other day that, you know, we've been talking about major project in health more than this administration and previous administration and so on.
Yeah.
And I am still of the view that without NHI being properly discussed,
Health insurance.
health insurance, we're not going to get benefits to our locals as we ought to. Again, I always believe primary health care should be our focus more than anything else. Let me compliment them though, that I think Mount Sinai coming in to look at processes in the current hospital
Yeah.
and changing certain things and what they're doing there is an excellent thing. And that our hospital need that, and
Yeah.
working along with the nurses and the doctors and other staff members at the hospital to change their thinking and modalities is an excellent thing. So that
Right.
is good.
Yeah.
But I think the focus on primary health care, for Polaris, we need to decide where we're going to specialize. We can't do everything for everybody. Whether it's in bone medicine, whether it's in dialysis, we need
Well,
to...
Chris, let's look at it from the political dimension. Will Project Polaris have the effect of mobilizing support for the administration in the election situation? Will it do that? Does it have the capacity to do that?
It may, as well as it may not, because the more you get pushback and people have questions on to spend $250 million US and how the government is going to finance it. Questions like politically, could this money be used elsewhere? You're hearing talk on the ground that government is not meeting the payment of contractors and local businesses as they ought to in a timely manner. So you have to wonder if there is a money crunch going on now with the government in paying their local bills. So that is something they also have to look at, and more people get to understand what Polaris is about and the spend. They may ask whether we need to divert all that money now in such a huge project. Politically, the government may say that is a major transformative project. And when they break ground, they may sell it in such a way that they may get some traction or not. I don't know. But I'm not a politician, but politically, I think, you know, these are questions that need to be answered, and I don't know if they were answered tonight, but these are questions that need to be answered by some of those like me who are not totally sold on Polaris.
Chris, we have trucks, because there's a lot of construction taking place all over the island. You're seeing a lot larger trucks on the road. But to what extent, one, we talk about the weight of these trucks and how well our roads are keeping up to them. But their parking seems to be a problem now, hindering traffic. You seen this?
What is happening there from my point of view is, apart from the weight and our roads are not designed, I remember our Prime Minister announced that from the 1st of April, 4 major road construction projects will start. Bolio was one, Grand Anse was one, and a few others. The thing with the trucks that you're seeing now is that I don't know if the companies that own the trucks is trying to save on fuel. So when those guys finish work in the afternoon, instead of going back to base, they will park up close to their home and they park on the shoulder of the road. You're seeing it happening in Marion, you're seeing it happening in Calvini and some other areas where they park on the side of the road. And what to me is a safety issue for the police that need to be, if the shoulders of the road are being used to park trucks like that and other vehicles, because it's not only trucks, you as a driver have no room to maneuver if something happens to go to the side of the road. So you must have room on the side of the road. Even the averaging becomes difficult if one of those big trucks on the side and another vehicle on the side and 2 vehicles come in, one going up and down. You have to be careful. So the side of the road, apart from us parking in the road, which is a problem and against the law, here now we're moving to the side of the road and occupying the shoulders as though they think there's a new car park or a new place to park. And I mean, I know the police are a handful, but this is something we also need to talk about.
I'll tell you. Chris, we're going to take a short break. Viewers, stay with us. We'll be right back.
A trip to Grenada from April 4th to the 6th, 2026. A decision you'll never regret. This isn't just any destination. It's where passion meets performance. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games, hosted at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium in St. George's, under the theme, Passion Drives Performance. The best of the Caribbean's junior athletes will compete in electrifying track and field competition. Organize now and be part of an experience like no other, where talent, passion, and perseverance come alive on the land of 100,000 jab. Feel the passion, celebrate the performance, and create memories that will last a lifetime in pure Grenada, the land of warmth, spirit, and unstoppable energy. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our final descent to Morris Bishop International Airport. Welcome to Grenada.
Our marketing goals for 2026 are ambitious yet achievable. We aim to drive airlift growth by collaborating with airlines and travel partners to expand seat capacity and routes. Strengthening community and stakeholder engagement is key, as we want to ensure that the benefits of tourism are felt broadly across our islands. Promoting sustainable tourism is a priority, as we encourage practices that preserve Grenada's environment, heritage, and cultural identity. We also want to focus on expanding into new markets while reinforcing our brand's position in existing markets. By increasing engagement and conversion through targeted digital campaigns, enhancing content quality, and building strong relationships with industry partners, we hope to boost brand awareness, improve our reputation, and secure media mentions in our target markets.
Welcome back, viewers. Chris, earlier this week, the Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, Hilary Beckles, said that within the region, the Americas, the Caribbean has the lowest enrollment in higher education. What he's saying is that it's less than 20%. The numbers are dropping since COVID. There's concern about this. you see a problem in the future in that we don't have the talent, we don't have the skills required to fill the necessary positions going forward into the future. A lot of concerns about that. That's a problem.
Well, I think the obvious answer is that yes, it is low, it is dropping, but the cost of tertiary education is a real issue that parents have to confront and countries have to confront, because it's not cheap to go to universities, whether it's to study medicine, engineering, and other fields that are there. Yes, there is a blend now of online and in-person training, but that still has not cut the costs. There is this UV campus that we have here that is done more online and with lecturers locally, which would help. But I think the overriding thing is the cost. And we need to get a way to get more students enrolled. But even at CC level, students will graduate with good honors and graduate with good GPAs, and they just cannot meet the financial requirement to go to university for 3 to 4 years. So we need in the region, UWI and the other tertiary educations, University of Trinidad and Tobago, need to find a way to blend its programs a little more. So students could stay here and do a lot of it. Lawyers could stay here and do a lot of it remotely, and only need to pay in person when it's absolutely necessary to do the whatever practical aspect and so on. So it's something they need to look as well. Look and see how they can do it.
Chris, gender-based violence is still here with us. It's not going away.
Well, yes. And as promised, we had indicated to our listeners and viewers that every program we do will raise something on gender-based violence. And from where I sit, I mean, as men, because most of our men are the ones who are engaging in this, most of them are women, and we want to constantly say to our men that this is not acceptable. And when we have to resort to solving our issues with our mate or significant other, and we have to resort to violence, it means something wrong with us. And the churches and the communities and all of us need to talk about that every week when we meet, that gender-based violence is not acceptable in our society. And my thing is, Byron, we need to set a target. If 70% or 80% of our court matters are based around gender-based violence, sexual and other aspects of it, we need to reduce that target to less than 40%.
So we must set targets.
Yes. And us as individuals, it starts with us. You know, as men, I have said before that I don't want to be a friend of a man who's abusing his daughter or his wife or anything. I don't want to be that. If you think that is acceptable behavior, I don't want to be a friend.
Unacceptable. So you're not going to have my relationship. Chris, the Cuban Medical Brigade, we spoke about last week, but this seems to be coming to an end clearly, the way we know it, because we see Guyana, Dominica, Jamaica, Grenada indicated that they don't have an existing agreement. So that's kind of open, but clearly the pressure from the U.S. is clearly having its effect and impact. And
I'm a bit disappointed with CARICOM's response, but I realize individually they have taken us by individual islands and pressured us differently. And you could read a lot of things about what's going on in Jamaica, but the point of it is that the Cubans have gone out of the way to help us in the medical field in particular, and in other areas. And I think that what we're doing now doesn't show the kind of goodwill that we need to show to the Cubans. Now the Cubans are in a desperate situation for food and other things, and we need to find a way to assist.
And energy,
energy. And we need to find a way to assist.
Has to happen quicker.
And it needs a CARICOM response, not an individual island response. And what Guyana have done of say they cut the program and they're hiring in the doctors under their own laws and paying them as what they need to, because even in this thing with the Cubans, you can't even remit money back to home because the U.S. is stopping it and so on. So we need, as a CARICOM, to understand how we could help the Cubans, because I think it's among the scholarship, a lot of our own local doctors were trained by Cubans. You know, so I see the response by country, but I really believe we need to find another solution to the problem.
And Chris, we'll continue that conversation, but of course I want to tell our viewers we have a guest tonight. We have Conrad Francis. He is, of course, president of the Grenada Athletics Association. We have what's it? Sorry. We
Intercall.
have Intercall
And we
taking
have
place right now.
right now.
And we have what's it called?
Carifta.
Carifta Games is coming soon. So
Yeah.
it's an important discussions we're going to have. So viewers, stay with us. We'll be right back.
In Grenada, sports aren't just a game, they're a way of life. They teach discipline, teamwork, and resilience. They inspire the next generation to push boundaries and chase excellence. That's why the Investment Migration Agency of Grenada is proud to support sports initiatives as part of our commitment to youth and national development. When we invest in sports programs, we invest in the future. We invest in the health and well-being of our youth, and we invest in broadening Grenada's reach, proudly connecting our athletes, our talent, and our nation to a global community. Together, we all go further. The Investment Migration Agency. Unlock the possibilities.
My name is Liselle Walcott. I am a staff nurse at the General Hospital for the past 16 years. At the Infection Control Department, we do surveillance for communicable diseases or hospital-acquired infections. We do outbreak investigations. So any issues we have, we would investigate it, find out the cause, and we would do recommendations and interventions to all relevant departments. Thus far, with Mount Sinai, we are looking at ways of improving hand hygiene. Hand hygiene has been proven to be one of the most important practice you could do to break the chain of infection. Working along with Mount Sinai, I foresee that it will be a very good thing for us. They are looking into the products that we use, the practices that we do. Going forward, we'll be able to achieve a very high level of compliance and safety across the board for everyone.
At Maitland's Motor Sales and Rentals, we sell engines for all makes of vehicles: Toyota GT Corolla 6-speed, Toyota MR2, and Evolution 3. We've got transmissions for Toyota Noah, 2.0 Suzuki Escudo, Toyota Corolla, windscreens for Grand Vitara, 2 and 4-door Escudo, Toyota Corolla front and back, and Suzuki Escudo wheel covers. Also available are motor oil, oil filters, crystal headlights for Toyota Corolla, brakes for all makes of vehicles. We sell C16 and Q16 racing fuel. Special prices on oils and accessories for customers who purchase vehicles from us. You're never left undone because we source the part if we don't have it. Maitland's Motor Sales and Rentals, empowering people through mobility.
Welcome back, viewers, to MTV Community Forum. And tonight on MTV Community Forum, we put Grenada sports leadership under the microscope. With Carifta Games just 2 weeks away, and a lot of money is being spent. The big questions are unavoidable. Are we ready? Are we investing wisely? Are our young athletes truly benefiting? Our guest tonight is Conrad Mason. He's, of course, the president. Conrad Francis. He's of course the president of the Grenada Athletics Association and a sports administrator with many years of experience. Welcome to Community Forum.
Thank you,
Brother Francis.
Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Carifta is just 2 weeks away. On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready is Grenada? Ready?
I think we are about 9. Because it's just around the corner, so we are just putting the icing on the cake right now. Because, you know, we hosted Carifta in 2024.
That's right.
And, well, should I put it this way? Not in our wildest dreams we thought we would have been hosting the games in 2026.
But you're the one that's been leading that, I understand, you can correct me, you're the one I understand has been leading the negotiation and leading that effort, energy to bring Carifta Games to Grenada. Is that correct? And why, since we've had it so recently, as you said, 2 years ago,
Yes.
what happened? Why are we hosting it the second time?
Yeah,
So
and
soon?
I was about to explain that.
Yeah. Fine.
Because Guyana was supposed to be the next host, because the character games, 2 years out, you should know who is hosting the games.
Yeah.
Right, so Guyana was supposed to host the games. But when we got to Trinidad last year, where the games were held, we were approached by the NACAC executive. NACAC is a regional body that governs track and field. And we were approached to find out if we are willing to host the games. And subsequently, all the presidents and general secretaries of the various federations throughout the region started to say, yeah, Grenada, we're going Grenada 26, because they said that, their experience in 2024 was amazing.
Okay.
Right, and everybody just wanted to come to Grenada because they know that we always deliver a very successful
So what was
games.
Guyana's response? Guyana
Guyana
have a difficulty in hosting.
Yeah, Guyana had some difficulties because, a lot of construction is going on in Guyana now. There's a boom in Guyana because of all the oil and so on. And they're constructing a lot of new hotels and so on.
Did they volunteer
so
to
they
put
did
some,
not
to
have
meet some of the cost of the game? Did they volunteer to put some of the cost of the game? Because that's a big issue.
But it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work
Doesn't
that
work
way.
that way.
No. So their problem was room space,
Okay.
hotel space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
they
mean, kudos to the organizers on our side that we were so well received in terms of people want to come back after 2024 so soon. It does have a positive spin from the point of view of tourism aspect, sports tourism, because a lot of people just come and support their country when they come in. And if we have the room stock, that is also a positive thing for us. So if you say we 9 out of 10, which is 90%, it means that the planning, security-wise, equipment-wise, stadium-wise, all of that is in place already.
Yes, all of that is in place because we did not really dismantle our structure after the 2024 games. So it was just a question of putting it together again, just making a couple of phone calls.
So all your volunteers and
yeah,
all of that
yeah,
is in place,
is in place.
equipment-wise,
Yeah,
tracking.
everything,
Right.
everything is in.
My question now is to
place.
you, Byron, is our athletes, is the benefits to our local athletes, because they're coming up against the best in the region. From Jamaica come back. So my question is, how have our athletes been performing? Because you head of Athletics Association. We have a major event going on now, Interpol, where it's generating a lot of interest nationally. So how are athletes measuring to the standards they need to meet for character in terms of timings and other things?
Okay, very good question. We have a template which we follow and which we continue developing over the years. As you will know, that Grenada, in terms of organizing track and field meets, we are, if not number one, but we are right there. We've been organizing games since in the 1950s with the Whitsuntide Games and such. And Intercall has a very rich history. In fact, Intercall is only second to Jamaica in the region in terms of high school sports. So we are no strangers to that. So we know exactly what we are doing when we are organizing a meet. In fact, this is the fourth character games that we are hosting. The first one was in 2000, then we hosted in 2016, 24, and now 26. So that says a lot for us. So we know exactly, in terms of organization, we know what we are doing. And to answer your question specifically, in terms of preparing our national teams, we know exactly what to do. So, for example, we have started preparing our athletes by having a number of meets. From October, we had our first meet. We call them developmental meets. And we started that some years ago, but we have improved on it. And what we have done is to name some of these meets after some of our great athletes and administrators. So we've had 8 meets thus far organized by the Athletic Federation. Not many federations in the region you'll see doing that. So we've had a meet called the Neville Green Classic, named after a great stalwart coach from St. Patrick's. I think that's from your area. You'll be very familiar with him. So we gave him his flowers early.
Conrad, are we invested enough in the coaching science, the nutrition, the sports psychology? Are we relying on raw talent? Where is this? As the president, where do you see us? Where do you see Grenada at this time? From the administration point of view, I hear you, we're going to put in an excellent event. But what are the results? What is it going forward? We produced Kirani James.
Yeah. Javelin.
Javelin, yes. I mean, we've done well in there, but where you sit now, are we doing the best we can?
Yeah, I think so, given what is available to us in terms of human resources and also financial resources. I think that we are in a good place. And I just want to relate that to the previous question, right? These development meets that we've had, and I was about to mention, we've named one the Neville Green Classic, we've named one the Adrian Mitchell after our great sports administrator, right? And then we have named the last one the Charlie George Classic, who are president of the federation for over 20 years. So these meets are basically to prepare our athletes, because you cannot have athletes training, and that's what you're referring to, developing coaches, spending hours preparing training programs for their athletes, and then no competition, right? So the science of coaching is that you have to have competitions to monitor and evaluate the athletes to see where they are. And we think that we have that in place. These meets have produced a lot of athletes, right? And the burst that you spoke about that is happening right now with Intercol is one of the things that have caused that, is because over the season, hundreds of people have been coming to the stadium to witness these athletes perform. So they know all of these athletes. They know them. They even know the under-9 athletes. We have some stars already in the under-9, and people come out to support them. So what is happening in Intercol today and yesterday, if you guys were at the stadium, you'd realize that the fans, they know all the top athletes. They know their athletes, and they come out to support them. So I think that augurs well for track and field in Grenada, not only from an administrative level, but in terms of a sport where people could come to the stadium and enjoy and have fun. That's one of the main objectives of sport.
I want to take you up on part of Byron's question, in that when we look at, I see we now have as a staple in Intercol, what do you call that now? Hurdles.
Yeah.
And I watched a performance today from a PBC athlete that was excellent. So my other question is that we're seeing us expand into other events as well. We ain't get pole vaulting yet, but that is something we need to probably work on. But high jump, long jump, the discus event, the javelin, field events in general, we perform creditably. But my question is, with all of these developmental competitions and so on, is there a concern that our athletes may be too tired and not peak at the right time, which is character, for example, so that the performance could be, excellent, and we get gold medals and whatever medals we get? Because Jamaica dominates in athletics anyway. and have been so for years. So what are you seeing from an athletics point of view in our performance of our athletes to when we get to character, they could make themselves and us proud and everybody else?
Yes, as I said before, that we are preparing our athletes, that our coaches are doing an excellent job. So through these developmental meets, they are able to really see where they are and twig the programs, right? Because there's something in training called periodization, where you go step by step. It's like you're building a house. So you build the foundation first, and then you build on that as you go. But you keep monitoring. You may have to make some adjustments as you go along. So it's the same thing in the science of coaching. So what coaches try to do is to pick their athletes for the most important games. And there is a concern, you're correct, because what we are noticing is that some coaches now will tend to pick their athletes for inter-call games, right? And probably there's nothing wrong with that, because in coaching, you're probably an athlete could hold a peak for 2 to 3 weeks. So if you have intercall now and character is 2 weeks down the road, absolutely nothing wrong with that. The coaches can tweak their program to suit. But where the concern is what I call physical abuse of athletes, right? Because over the 3 days, and we are witnessing it live yesterday and today, one athlete is competing in 7 and 8 events.
Whoa.
So in some cases, you'll find that they are running 13 to 14 times during the meet, right? Because you have heats in the one, they're running 1, 2, and 4. Yeah. So that is 6 times already. And some of these athletes are still running the 800. They're competing in the field events. And as a federation, we see that as physical abuse of the athletes, because the first thing you learn in coaching is athlete first. It's supposed to be an athlete-centered sport. That's what it is, right? And not so much of the results. But it's a very controversial issue, because the schools, they want to win. It's all about winning. But I think that we should be very, very careful. And I wish, and I really want to improve
the athletes,
the management, the managers of these athletes, to stop. The parents have a very critical role to play in that, because this physical abuse of athletes has to stop.
So, Brother Francis, and of course, you're not only a sports administrator, because I see here you have been a former coach and athletics instructor, and you've also served chief de mission for Grenada at the Rio Olympics, so you've been there. One of the issues about athletics is the cost. We've heard that for the intercall, one of your sponsors, the Lottery Authority, $350,000. And you're looking, one of the things that you've advocated a lot on in your work is more sponsorship and greater play of the private sector in sports, and the government of more resources. Tell us, why is this sport so expensive? And we could draw from the current games that are taking place. What is the $500,000? What is the cost of character of the games, and where's the cost coming from, and how are you managing this cost going ahead?
Very interesting question. Track and field is an expensive sport. Just the cost for one pair of spikes could cost here between $200-300 US. Wow. For a good spikes, right? And then if I zero in on athletes themselves, if you really want to be good, you have to look at your nutrition aspect. I think you referred to that holistic approach earlier on. The weight training, physiotherapy, so it is expensive. And to host the games is expensive, because alluded to our hosting I think it was 8 games for the season so far. And each one has cost us a lot of money. The cost of the stadium, transportation, meals for the officials, you know, in some cases prizes, you know, trophies, medals, you know. So it is an expensive venture. This Carifta Games, the budget is around $3 million.
Wow.
Right. So you see, it's an expensive thing because you have to put the athletes in proper accommodation. You have to provide efficient transportation. You have security, you have volunteers, you know, you name it. So it is
complex.
It is expensive. It is expensive.
But I want to chip in here. I've seen private sector companies getting more involved in sponsoring schools. We have NAWASA involved. We have some credit unions involved. And they're taking care of the athletes, they're uniforming, they're giving them uniforms. And I suspect they help with equipment as well.
Yeah.
So that has improved.
That has improved tremendously over the years. So, for example, most of the schools are sponsored now. You'll see a lot of them are sponsored by Classic Lightning, other credit unions, as you rightly stated. Even as a federation, we have good contribution from the private sector. ARISA sponsors our national championships. IMA is now on board with our relay meet. You know, so the sponsorship is good.
So it helps.
Beyond the national stadium, though, Conrad. Okay, viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back. Take a short break.
I went to the washroom.
Go.
Hold that corner. Hold that with you.
Hold this with you.
Oh, okay.
April 4th to the 6th, 2026. A decision you'll never regret. This isn't just any destination. It's where passion meets performance. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games, hosted at the iconic Kirani James Athletic Stadium in St. George's, under the theme, Passion Drives Performance. The best of the Caribbean's junior athletes will compete in electrifying track and field competition. Organize now and be part of an experience like no other, where talent, passion, and perseverance come alive on the land of 100,000 jab. Feel the passion, celebrate the performance, and create memories that will last a lifetime in pure Grenada, the land of warmth, spirit, and unstoppable energy. Welcome to the 53rd Carifta Games.
Whenever happy to see me, nobody is strangers. One big family.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our final descent to Morris Bishop International Airport. Welcome to Grenada.
Our marketing goals for 2026 are ambitious yet achievable. We aim to drive airlift growth by collaborating with airlines and travel partners to expand seat capacity and routes. Strengthening community and stakeholder engagement is key, as we want to ensure that the benefits of tourism are felt broadly across our islands. Promoting sustainable tourism is a priority, as we encourage practices that preserve Grenada's environment, heritage, and cultural identity. We also want to focus on expanding into new markets while reinforcing our brand's position in existing markets. By increasing engagement and conversion through targeted digital campaigns, enhancing content quality, and building strong relationships with industry partners, we hope to boost brand awareness, improve our reputation, and secure media mentions in our target markets.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here with the president of the Grenada Athletics Association, Conrad Francis. Here's the thing. Beyond the national stadium, what is the real state of our sporting facilities across Grenada? We spent $8 million on the lights for the stadium, for example. The information we have is that it's not the Cricket Association, International Cricket Association, not approved it. We have lights again in the Paradise playing field. that it's too low, that create too much heat. What from where you stand in the sports arena, what are your position on this? What do you see? You think there's sufficient consultation? Why are we having these issues with our facilities that are very expensive, first of all, but we not seem to be getting it quite right?
Well, first of all, I must say that our sporting facilities have improved significantly over the years. I remember as sports director in the Ministry of Sports. Yeah. We did quite a number of work on our facilities, and I'm happy to see that that trend is continuing. The lighting of facilities, I think, is a very good thing, but I've always had my problems with it because I think there is indiscriminate use of the lights. I mean, some of it you're passing playing fields and you're seeing no one there but the lights are on, or just two persons playing with the lights on. Okay. And somebody pays for that.
Of course.
Somebody pays for it, and I'm quite aware of the bills that government has to foot in these things. So I always believe that there should be a pay system, right? And when we started it, there was a pay system, but somewhere down the line, it fell through the crack.
Okay.
But it is a good thing to light the playing field, so you expand playing time for our sports people, especially those adults who are working, because we have a serious problem with sports in Grenada that it is right now, you could say, is more or less confined to the schools.
Okay.
So we need to have more of these.
But you talk about that. I want to go there because what does athletics actually do for young persons beyond medals, really? I mean, that's the question. I want to know, can sport realistically reduce crimes and unemployment, or is that an overstatement? What's really happening with the young persons there that are into sports, athletics in particular?
Yeah, I think it's an understatement, not an overstatement, because track and field and sports as a whole does tremendous things for young people. It takes young people off the streets, it takes them off drugs, it builds mental capacity. I mean, anything you could think about. It creates the holistic person, right, in terms of your behavioral patterns, everything. I mean, I have experienced it, I've seen it, I've lived it. You'll hear some people say all what they have, they owe it to sports.
And they get scholarships.
Yeah, you get scholarships to further their education, and that's a key part.
Them a sustainable living.
Sustainable living. Some of them go abroad and they send remittances, because most of them don't return.
A lot of people use sports as coming out of poverty.
Yeah.
And especially a lot of our athletes and other sporting people come from rural part of the country.
Yeah.
So I want to divert a little and go back to the cricket and talk about ladies in cricket or ladies in football and what is happening there, and from where you sit. I mean, we are now seeing Grenada moving seriously into women football and cricket in particular, and we just had celebrated Afi and her accomplishments. And the issue for me is how much, from your vantage point, is the government investing? I know football is investing a lot in the ladies, but from a cricket point of view, because our West Indies team didn't perform well against Sri Lanka, and I know we're going to play Australia in another series. What is your take on that for the development of our women, particularly in these sports? And generally, basketball, swimming, how do you see where our women are and the country as a whole is facilitating this development?
Yeah. I think it's very good to focus on the women, because it's always said that where the women are, men will follow, and that's good for the development of a country. Cricket, over the years, we've produced good cricketers, good women cricketers. I mean, I remember back in the days of Marilyn Nelson and Nautica McIntyre, and others, you know.
Susan Redhead and all of them.
Susan Redhead and all these girls, and then I think they laid the basis for people like Afi and so on to move on. So it is very good to see that that emphasis is put on the cricket and even football. I mean, football has a lot of money floating around. FIFA is a very rich organization, and they pour the money into the sports. So you find out that a lot of young girls are also involved in football.
Internationally, women's football is a big thing.
Yeah. It's a big thing, you know. But I don't want to leave out the track and field because we are investing a lot in the young people too, and females.
Yeah.
And there's a serious problem with the females in track and field. You know, once some of them as early as puberty, they start to move away from the sports.
Okay.
So it is incumbent on the coaches to know these aspects of things, because based on the training load, you can drive them away at that stage in their life. You know, the hips get broader, so the technique becomes a bit deformed, and so on. So you need to really keep athletes in the sport. And we have added the under 9 category, and probably in the future we'll add the under 7 category, where you capture them at a young age, primary school. And it is very important because what you find at that age group, and we have taken a page of swimming book, right? The parents follow these kids,
yes, that's true.
right? And you start seeing it happening in track and field, and also I know it's happening also in football, right? So it is very important to capture the talent at that age. You know, that's the nursery. Yeah. So you capture them and you mold them into what you really want them to.
Let me ask you about swimming. Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead.
We have been doing well as a country in swimming, regionally and otherwise. We can't seem to get a pool at all. You know, we hear about the pool, a lot of discussions.
One was announced, I think?
Yeah.
They had a
It
ceremony?
was supposed to be in the stadium.
Yeah.
The last thing I heard, located in the stadium.
Yes.
But you ain't seen nothing happening. I mean,
When last have you passed by the stadium?
I haven't been there in recent time, driving around to see if what is happening. But the other question with the pool, we're doing a 25-meter pool, and it should be a 50-meter pool, international standard. Why are we doing that for swimming? And swimming, we have so much potential in swimming.
Yeah. Well, first, to answer your question, the first part of the question is that yes, they have started on the pool.
Okay, that's good.
I've seen work has started in doing the foundation and so on. I don't know exactly what's the reason why it's 25 meters pool, but what I can tell you that it is very expensive to maintain a 50 meters pool.
That's what they cited.
That's what I do know. So I'm not sure if that is the reason why, but it is very, very
It's
expensive.
a major improvement to Good Hope.
Yeah.
One would assume. But Conrad, we come into a close, and I want to go back to Carifta and tell us a bit about it in terms of the event itself. What spectators would expect, what they should be doing, tickets, costs, exact dates. Tell us about it.
Okay, I want to start by saying that the Carifta Games is the best junior games in the world.
In the world?
In the world, right?
Okay.
And that has been said by many, even the World Athletics President, who will be here for the Games.
Wow, okay.
Right? So the Games itself, 28 countries are involved, right, in the region, you know. As you know, well, the Games started in 1972, you know, Carifta coming after, you know, is the prelude to CARICOM. So it maintained the word Carifta. And it has done a lot for our athletes. I mean, many top athletes came out from the CARIFTA Games, right? If you go back,
get scholarships.
Yeah.
The scouts come and we have a lot of scouts that come in to watch CARIFTA.
Right. We've had so many requests from scouts come in. They want accommodation, they want accreditation to the warm-up area, and so on. So it is tremendous for any country to host the games. It brings tremendous benefits, economic benefits. You have the vendors, the taxi drivers, so it is tremendous. And what we in Grenada have done, each games we try to improve on it. So for example, the last games we had an area called the Cultural Village, and we just started, so it wasn't as big as how we're going to do it this year, but this year is going to be real big. We'll have a street expo and all of that. So the real purpose of that is the games is divided into 2 sessions per day. So after the first session, you have to clear the stadium. So people tend to go back to the hotel and so on. Some browse around St. George's, but it's Easter weekend.
Tickets are available at the stadium, or you have to buy
Tickets are available at the stadium. It is available at Go to Fet. It is available at Optical. I understand people are buying all the tickets, so we encourage people to come out and buy the tickets.
Over how many days?
It's 3 days, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th.
Okay.
And
you can get a season ticket, or you could...
Yeah, there are season
days.
tickets.
Yeah.
There are season tickets, and there are individual
What kind of cost on average?
The season ticket for Finish Line is $350 for
US dollars we talking?
EC dollars. Right, it's $350. There are packages for the main stand. I think it's $50. Right. So the stadium is divided into main stand and Finish Line. Yeah. So
the auxiliary stand will be used too.
The secondary pavilion. That is $20. So, bleachers. Yeah, means secondary pavilion is $30, and bleachers is $20. So people have been buying our tickets.
We have the time. Let me get your closing statement on this. What do you want to say about the event coming up?
People are buying tickets, but people are still asking for tickets, right? So on the next Friday, on the 27th. There would be a pop-up on the Esplanade where we'll be selling tickets, memorabilia and so on of the games. You have mascot, you have key rings, you have T-shirts, right? So people can come.
Next Friday.
That's the 27th. But before that, I think this Saturday there will be a motorcade around the island where we're promoting the games, and also people can get tickets from the motorcade.
Would it be televised?
The motorcade?
No, the
games, the events, of course. Remember, I said this is the best games in the world, so it will be
So if you're not
televised.
going, you didn't get tickets, you can view it at home.
Yeah, you can view it at home, but the best place to be is in the stadium. Yeah. And we have a lot of examples of that. People see it in the stadium. Maybe if the games is divided into 2 sections, they'll watch it in the morning and then say, by evening I have to be there. And that is happening to Intercall right now. Tomorrow, the stadium, there wouldn't be place to hold people tomorrow.
And, Chris, any closing statement?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you, Conrad, from the Athletics Association for all that. And we could see the progress. And we can see our athletes from the Kiranis come back and so on, how well they have done and come out. And it's something we need to continue to promote, because I think sports is one of the best ways to get our youth out of deviant behavior, give them discipline, commitment, and all the rest. And we as a country and a government need to invest more in terms of nutrition and all of that, because it's a holistic, as you say, development. So I congratulate you and your executive of GAA, and continue doing the good work. I think that is the way we have to proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much. And also our local organizing committee for the CARIFTA Games, who have been working exceedingly hard to ensure that we have a very successful games. And we are very positive in that. I think we know what we are doing, and we are collaborating with many entities to ensure that the games is a success.
And we wish you all the
Thank
success,
you
as I
very
know
much.
you will be
Thank you
successful.
very much. What stuck in my mind is these are the best junior games in the world, so I'm not going to miss it. Keep that in mind. Viewers, thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.